I'm 101 years old, and I just figured out what actually matters in life. And it's nothing like what I spent 70 years chasing. My name is Florence. I was born in 1924. I've lived through the Great Depression, World War II, the moon landing, the internet revolution, and everything in between. I've seen a century of change. And for most of that century, I was chasing the wrong things, working toward goals that didn't matter, building a life that looked impressive but felt empty. It took me until I was in my 90s to finally understand what I should have known all along. I need to tell you what I learned, because I see people making the same mistakes I made, spending their precious years on things that won't matter when they're my age, missing what's right in front of them while chasing things that don't even exist, and they won't figure it out until it's too late, just like I almost did. Let me take you back to the beginning. I grew up in Pennsylvania during the Depression. We were poor, really poor. My father lost his job when I was 6. We moved in with my grandparents, 8 people in a small house, never enough food, never enough of anything. I remember being hungry, not just a little hungry before dinner, actually hungry, wearing the same worn-out dress to school every day, watching other kids with nice things and feeling ashamed, feeling less than, feeling like poverty was something wrong with me. I decided then that when I grew up, I'd never be poor. I'd work hard, make money, have nice things, be somebody. That became my goal, my mission. Everything I did was aimed at escaping poverty and proving I was worth something. I was smart, did well in school despite everything. Got a scholarship to college in 1942, was one of the only girls from my town to go. My parents were proud, but also worried. College was for rich people, for boys. What was I trying to prove? But I went anyway, studied business, graduated in 1946, got a job as a secretary at a big company in Philadelphia. It wasn't much, but it was more money than my father had ever made. I was 22 and I felt like I'd made it. I worked hard, harder than anyone else, came in early, stayed late, took on extra projects, never said no. I wanted to move up, make more money, prove myself, show everyone that the poor girl from Pennsylvania could be successful. I met my husband, Edward, in 1948. He worked at the same company. He was ambitious like me, wanted to climb the corporate ladder. We bonded over that, over wanting more, over being willing to do whatever it took to get ahead. We got married in 1949. I was 25. We made a good team, both focused on our careers, both working constantly, both climbing our way up. We bought a small house, then a bigger house, started accumulating nice things, better furniture, nicer clothes, all the things I'd dreamed about as a poor child. We had our daughter Helen in 1952. I took 3 months off work, then went right back, left her with my mother during the day. Edward and I were both working 60, 70-hour weeks, making good money, moving up, achieving our goals. Looking back now, I barely remember Helen's childhood. I was there physically sometimes, but never really present, always thinking about work, about the next promotion, about making more money, about proving I was successful. Helen would ask me to play with her, and I'd say I was too busy, had work to do. She'd show me drawings she made, and I'd barely look. Say that's nice and go back to my papers. She'd cry when I left for work trips, and I'd feel annoyed instead of heartbroken. I thought I was being a good mother by providing, by making sure she had everything I didn't have as a child. Nice clothes, good schools, a big house. What more could she want? Edward got promoted to vice president when he was 45. I became a director around the same time. We were making more money than we ever dreamed of. Had a beautiful house in the suburbs, 2 nice cars, belonged to the country club, took expensive vacations. We'd made it. We'd escaped poverty. We were successful. We'd proven ourselves. So why didn't I feel satisfied? Why did I still feel like something was missing? I pushed that feeling down, told myself I was being ungrateful. I had everything I'd always wanted: a successful career, financial security, a nice lifestyle. What else could there be? Helen went to college in 1970, moved across the country. I was relieved. Her presence had been a reminder of all the time I wasn't spending with her, all the moments I was missing. With her gone, I could focus completely on work. Edward and I barely saw each other, even though we lived in the same house. We'd both be working late, would grab food separately, fall asleep in front of the television, wake up and do it all again. We were business partners more than spouses. Helen got married in 1975, had her first child in 1976, my first grandchild. A little boy named Matthew. I went to visit for a weekend, held the baby for a few minutes, then spent most of the visit on work calls. Had to get back to the office, had deadlines, had responsibilities. Helen looked hurt when I left after just 2 days, said she wished I could stay longer, that Matthew would grow up not knowing me. I said I'd visit more when I had time, that work was just really busy right now. She didn't say anything, just held Matthew and watched me leave. I kept working, kept climbing, became a senior vice president at 55, was making more money than ever, had investments, savings, financial security for life. But I couldn't stop, couldn't slow down. The chase had become who I was. Edward died suddenly in 1989, heart attack. He was 65. We'd been married for 40 years, and I realized at his funeral that I barely knew him. We'd been so focused on success that we'd never built a real relationship, never really talked, never really connected. We just worked side by side for 4 decades. I felt guilty at his funeral. Not grief exactly, just guilt. Guilt that I'd wasted 40 years with someone and never really known them, never really loved them beyond a surface level, never made the time to actually be married instead of just being married on paper. I kept working after Edward died. What else would I do? Work was all I knew, all I'd ever known. I retired at 70 only because the company forced me to, and I was lost, completely lost. My entire identity had been my career. Without it, I didn't know who I was. I rattled around my big empty house, had money, had things, had nothing that mattered. Helen would call sometimes. We'd have awkward conversations. She'd tell me about her life, and I'd realize I didn't really know her, didn't know what made her happy or what she struggled with. She was a stranger who happened to be my daughter. I started volunteering to fill time at a senior center, at a library, anything to not be alone with my thoughts. And that's where I met Margaret. She was 75, volunteered at the same senior center, and she was everything I wasn't. Margaret had been a stay-at-home mother, never had a career, never made much money, lived in a small house her whole life. By all my old measures, she'd failed. She'd never achieved anything, never proven herself, never escaped poverty in the way I had. But Margaret was happy, genuinely happy. She'd light up talking about her children and grandchildren, had deep relationships with them, saw them constantly. They'd call her every day, visit all the time. You could see the love there, real love, not obligation. I was jealous, deeply jealous. Here was this woman who'd never accomplished anything by my standards, and she had everything I'd been missing my whole life: connection, love, relationships that mattered, a life that felt full. We became friends, Margaret and I. And over the years, she taught me things I should have known at 20, that success isn't measured in money or titles, that the moments you miss never come back, that relationships require time and presence, not just financial support, that being rich in love matters more than being rich in dollars. I tried to rebuild my relationship with Helen, but 70 years of absence couldn't be fixed with a few phone calls. She was polite but distant. I'd missed too much: her childhood, her teenage years, her young adulthood, her children growing up. All of it gone. Can't get it back. I'm 101 now. Margaret died 3 years ago. She was 93. Her funeral was packed. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, friends, all of them crying. All of them with stories about how much she'd meant to them, how she'd been there for every important moment, how she'd made them feel loved. I'll turn 102 in a few months if I make it that long. When I die, my funeral will be small. Helen will come, maybe her kids, a few people from the senior center. That's it. Because I spent 70 years building a resume instead of a life, building wealth instead of relationships, proving myself instead of loving people. I have money, lots of money, and it means nothing. Can't buy back time, can't buy real relationships, can't buy the moments I missed with Helen, can't buy the marriage I never had with Edward, can't buy a life that actually mattered. Here's what I learned at 101 that I should have known at 20. None of the things you think matter actually matter. Your job doesn't matter. Your salary doesn't matter. Your house doesn't matter. Your car doesn't matter. Your achievements don't matter. Not in the end. Not when you're sitting alone at 101 looking back. What matters is the people you love and whether you actually showed up for them, whether you were present, whether you built real relationships based on time and attention and care, whether you made people feel loved and valued and important. That's it. That's the whole list. Everything else is distraction. Everything else is you lying to yourself about what will make you happy, chasing goals that won't satisfy you, building a life that looks good but feels empty. I spent 70 years chasing success, and I got it. I was successful by every measure. Made money, got promotions, had status, had things, and none of it made me happy. None of it filled the emptiness. None of it mattered when I was alone. The only things I regret are the moments I missed, the times I chose work over Helen, the years I spent with Edward without really being with him, the relationships I never built because I was too busy building a career. Those are my regrets, not the promotions I didn't get, not the money I didn't make, the people I didn't love properly. I see young people now making the same mistakes, working 80-hour weeks, missing their kids' childhoods, choosing career over relationships, thinking they'll have time later, thinking success will make them happy, thinking money and status matter. They don't. I'm 101 and I'm telling you they don't. You're chasing the wrong things. You think you have time. You think you can focus on career now and relationships later. You think you can make it up to people. You can't. The time you miss is gone. The moments you skip don't come back. The relationships you neglect die. I'd give every dollar I have to go back and do it differently. To be present for Helen. To actually build a marriage with Edward. To spend my time on people instead of promotions. To understand at 20 what I only learned at 90. But I can't. All I can do is tell you, hope that maybe someone listens. Maybe someone chooses differently than I did. Maybe someone figures out at 20 what took me 70 years to learn. What matters is love, being present with people you care about, building relationships that are real and deep and based on actually being there. Everything else is just noise. Everything else is just you avoiding what actually matters by chasing things that don't. I'm 101 years old. I've lived a century. I've seen everything, and the only thing I know for sure is that I wasted most of my life on things that didn't matter while ignoring the only things that did. Don't make my mistake. Don't spend 70 years getting it wrong. Figure it out now while you still have time, while the people you love are still here, while you can still build the life that will actually make you happy instead of the life that just looks impressive. Because I promise you, when you're my age, none of the impressive things will matter. Only the love will. Only the relationships will. Only the moments you were actually present for. Everything else is just emptiness dressed up as success. Subscribe if you needed to hear this today.